Hello guys, today we are going to discuss CVS, and first of all you need to know the meaning of angion, which means a blood vessel. And now we are going to discuss differences between arteries and veins. Arteries are located deeply and is superficial, and the wall of arteries is thicker because of the well-developed tunica media, and the veins wall is thinner because of less developed tunica media, and the lumen is narrow in arteries and it is wider in veins. Valves are absent in the arteries and are present in the veins, and arteries become empty after death, and these veins contains blood even after the death. And arteries retain cylinder shape even when they are empty, and they will collapse if they become empty. Veins will collapse if they become empty. Now we are going to discuss about the capillaries. Capillaries were invented by the Marcello Malpighi and forms extensive network throughout the tissue so as to allow the rapid exchange of large quantities. Okay. Now these are of capillaries are of three types. They are continuous, fenestrated, and sinusoids. Precapillary sphincters regulate the blood flow through the capillaries. Okay. Now, arteries are thin and thin in the cranium and vertebral column. Neurovascular bundle means it comprises an artery, a vein, and a nerve. Neurovascular bundle is covered by the fibroareolar sheath. Okay. Pathway in the capillary. First, from arteriole, it will enter into the metarteriole, then to the precapillary sphincter, then to the capillaries, then to the shunt, then to the venules. Okay, you can see here arteriole, terminal arteriole, and meta-arteriole. You can carefully observe here that the meta-arteriole is very wider at origin and it become narrowed at the termination. Okay, now we need to see what is a vasa vasorum and what are minute veins. Vasa vasorum are nutrient vessels which supply to the tunica externa and outer part of the tunica media. Okay, and the inner tunica intima and the inner part of the tunica media receives directly blood from the arteries. The venous vasa vasorum will take the deoxygenated blood up in the walls of the arteries. I can show you diagrammatically here. This is the venous vasa vasorum interna and vasa vasorum externa and venous vasa vasorum. You can see this is the internal venous vasa vasorum. Means it is directly supplying the tunica interna and tunica inner part of the tunica media. Here you can see vasa vasorum externa, means it supplies to the tunica externa and to the outer part of the tunica media. Venous vasa vasorum means it will take the deoxygenated blood from the wall of the arteries. Right now we are going to see that valves are absent in the veins of less diameter and in the vena cava and in the veins of umbilical, uterine, ovarian, cerebral, hepatic, renal, and all those veins. Only larger arteries and veins are supplied with the vasa vasorum. Means nutrient vessels are present only in the larger arteries and veins. Now supplying arteries, it is similar to that of veins. You can see nerves are mostly non-myelinated sympathetic, which have the vasoconstriction function. If they become myelinated, then they will transform into sensory rather than being sympathetic, right? Vasodilator innervation is restricted to skeletal muscle vessels by sympathetic and exocrine gland vessels by parasympathetic, and after injury cutaneous vessels will dilate because of that only vasodilated function. Around large veins there is a dead space which contain lymph nodes. Okay, and sinusoids means large spaces present in the tissues which are irregular walls, and it may connect with the arterioles and venules. Okay, now anastomosis means it is the communication between the neighboring vessels. It is of three types: arterial, venous, and arteriovenous. Arterial contains actual and potential anastomosis. Actual means it will occur end to end, and potential means it is between the terminal arterioles. Now, arteriovenous means when the organ is active, then the blood passes through the capillary bed, and if it is inactive, it will pass through the thoracic canal or shunt, and thereby bypassing the capillary bed. And I can show you this diagrammatically here. 1 minute. Yeah, you can see here the green circle which I marked here. This entire thing is called arteriovenous anastomosis. You can see, and this blue arrow showing you the thoracic canal. Okay, and this is called shunt. Shunt is separated. Okay, if the tissue is very active, then the blood flow through this entire green circle. If it is inactive, then it will flow either via thoroughfare canal, this blue arrow, or through the shunt. Okay, through this. Okay, now shunt is equals to thoroughfare canal, means they are functionally similar, maybe structural different but functionally similar. Microcirculatory unit means this entire arteriovenous anastomosis is called microcirculatory unit. What are end arteries? End arteries means which do not anastomosis with their neighbors. Neighboring arteries are called end arteries. Example: central artery of the retina and labyrinth artery of the inner ear. Now pulse pressure. It is a difference between the systolic and diastolic pressures. Now there is the applied anatomy of the CVS. First one is the hemorrhage. Hemorrhage means rupture of the blood vessel. It may occur in veins or arteries. If it is occurring in veins, it is called venous hemorrhage. It will lead to pool formation, and if it is occurring in arteries, then it is called arterial hemorrhage. It leads to fountain. Okay, hemorrhage. We completed hemorrhage. Now vascular catastrophes. Vascular catastrophes are of three types. There are thrombosis, embolism, and hemorrhage. What is thrombosis? Thrombosis is the formation of patches of the cholesterol or lipid on the tunica intima of the vessels, which get detached and converts into embolisms. Embolism means it is the detaching of the thrombus from the intima, tunica intima, and it may leads to the blockage of the vessel. Okay, and finally leading to the hemorrhage. By all these, the blood can't supply to the uh, area where the vessel leads to. Okay, arteriosclerosis means it is the stiffness of the arteries, thereby reducing the blood flow and increasing the systolic pressure. Arteriitis means inflammation of the arteries. Phlebitis means inflammation of the veins. And atheroma means formation of the patches of lipid or cholesterol inside the vessel, means on the tunica intima. Coronary artery blockage means it can be replaced by graft or can be opened via shunt. Okay, now aneurysm means it is a uh, and balloon like dilation of the arteries, and it is very harmful because it may burst at any time and leads to hemorrhage, so it is very dangerous. And Berger's disease means it is the inflammation of the small peripheral arteries and legs and is very painful. The victim is very very chronic smoker. Okay, the Rayner's phenomenon, it is a spasmodic attack of the pallor of the fingers, you can see, due to the constriction of the small arterioles in response to cold, means it occurs in cold conditions. Acute phlebothrombosis means there is formation of many thrombus in the veins, and their detachment leads to the blockage of the vessels. This is called acute thrombosis, you can read here. And varicose veins means when the pressure is increased for a long time, then it leads to the atrophy of the elastic tissue and with fibrous replacement of that tissue, and this leads to the tortuosity means they will form circles, and the person feel very comfortable if he keeps his legs on the table, right? This is called varicose veins, and it is very important clinical conditions. And what is the difference between the arteriosclerosis and atherosclerosis? Atherosclerosis means it is the deposition of the fatty materials in the walls of the arteries, and arteriosclerosis means it is the thickening and hardening of the walls of the arteries. Okay, it mainly occurs during the old age. That's it. Thank you. If you like the video, then please subscribe and hit that like button. Thank you.